At 5, the flooding has hit Skiatook and the towns of Sperry and Owasso. North of Tulsa may be next.
That consistent rain is threatening to ruin part of Oklahoma's wheat crop. And the children of Nazi fugitive Joseph Mengele try to explain why they did not disclose his death for 6 years. Those stories and more next on Eyewitness News.
KOTV salutes Project Offer and the generous spirit of everyone who is making the dream of feeding a starving child and a starving nation a reality.
It's amazing how many people called in wanting to make an individual contribution and wanting to start some group effort.
Great! Thank you. Project Offer. Thank you very much.
$1,600.
Spirit, you've got the spirit in everything you do. Neighbors helping neighbors, it takes friends like me and you. Channel 6 will look around and see you shining through. Spirit, you got the spirit of Oklahoma on 6.
From the mountains to the deserts to the streets of LA, the hottest place to be for stars is Entertainment Tonight. First, see how Menudo is charging up the charts with their very first American hit.
Next, from the Statler Brothers to Barbara Mandrell, the fans honor their favorite country stars at the Grand Ole Opry.
Then John Voight heats up the screen in Desert Bloom and takes control in Runaway Train. Plus, find out if the Goonies are good enough to wait in line for on Entertainment Tonight.
Entertainment Tonight this evening at 6:30 here on Channel 6.
The spirit of Oklahoma on 6.
This is Channel 6 Eyewitness News, live at 5. With Clayton Vaughn, Bob Lozier, meteorologist Jim Giles, and Bill Teagan, sports.
Good evening. The floodwaters of Bird Creek continue to threaten areas north of Tulsa. River forecasters say in Owasso, officials expect Bird Creek to crest at 30 to 31 feet sometime tomorrow morning. That would put the waters 5 to 6 feet above flood stage there. Residents of Skiatook have been dealing with the floods for 2 days now. They had about 48.
Skiatook into a makeshift lake. The floodwaters have forced residents into playing a waiting game. Last night, 30 people spent the night at an emergency shelter. Some of the younger Skiatook residents slept snugly this morning in Red Cross cots. Many of the elders didn't sleep, though. 27.
I took Thursday, and a disaster service center could be open by Friday.
Disaster is shaping up on the farms in northeastern Oklahoma because of the heavy rains. It's wheat harvest time now, but the ground is simply too wet to combine. And the children of Joseph Mengele say that they can prove the corpse exhumed in Brazil is the Nazi fugitive. Some 1,000-acre blaze is pushing toward the Los Padres National Forest. It's currently 60 miles south of Monterey, but is not threatening any homes. However, 2 other fires, one 35 miles south of Monterey and the other one 23.
Best spy swaps in Europe since World War II was held today on a bridge in Berlin that links the U.S. and the Soviet sections of that divided city. The United States swapped 4. Joe Egger says frustrated taxpayers are increasingly inclined to take out those frustrations on the tax. Is at least in large part, and that's good news for waterlogged northeast Oklahoma.
You betcha. It looks like the significant rainfall is over and some sunny days coming up, although a few sprinkles to the north of us, unfortunately, around Collinsville, Skiatook. But don't worry, friends, it's very, very light indeed. Let's take a look at our current conditions. This time reporting cloudy skies. That'll change. 69 degrees, 76% now our relative humidity. North.
The New York stock market slipped today in active trading. The Dow Jones Industrials went down more than 4.5 points. It's already a couple of rain delays in the College World Series at Omaha. Hopefully they can get the final game in tonight.
What? This is a long way. Those teams have been there, you know, for about 10, 11 days already. So the College World Series will wrap up hopefully tonight in Omaha. Rain caused the postponement last night. Texas and Miami go at it with a winner. The NCAA base working his way.
And Connors and all those matches. He might not hit the winning shot, but he was always in the point. And the point would seemingly go on for 3 or 4 minutes.
He was a real colorful figure, too. Right. So we'll be missing him in tennis. A record-setting performance last night in the USFL by Herschel Walker, moving into the record books again. We'll talk about that, Bob, in the next half hour.
All right. Thank you, Bill. Clay?
Coming up later in the hour also, the Southern Baptist Convention delegates are casting their votes today for a new president.
Work at school deserves a little extra credit. Just bring your report cards to the Channel 6 booth at Bell's. We'll turn them into free rides on your favorites like Zingo and Old Slippery. Or maybe the new 1001 Nights is more your speed. So, who says there's no such thing as a free ride? Rides for grades and summertime spirit from Bell's Amusement Park and KOTV Channel 6.
Once again, science and technology have outstripped the law, this time in the area of U.S. currency. There is a new generation of sophisticated color copiers showing up in offices, and among other things that those copiers are pretty good at is copying our paper money. A governmental task force has looked into this, you should be relieved to know, and has estimated that 20% of the people who have access to these machines will, at one time or another, see how it works at copying money. At least one congressman, Democratic Representative Frank Annunzio of Illinois, chairman of a House banking subcommittee, thinks that's not only a high estimate, but something of an indictment of the American working man and woman. Annunzio says he has more faith than that in the American people, but he does have to admit that some copying, in this case counterfeiting, will occur. So the question is what to do about it. Government experts have suggested everything from putting magnetic threads in the real currency to watermarks which could be seen only when the bill is held up to the light. The most promising idea, however, seems to be to somehow imprint each bill with the word void, and do it so the word would not show up on the bill itself, but would on any copy that might be made. This new technology is wonderful, but it's going to take a little time for the good guys to catch up.
Live at 5, Channel 6 Eyewitness News continues.
It's now 26 minutes past 5 on this Tuesday, and here are some of today's top stories. The flooding of Bird Creek continues to cause some problems for areas north of Tulsa. The high waters are beginning to go down in Skiatook. A number of residents there spent last night in a shelter after being forced out of their homes. Today, people in Sperry are keeping an eye on the rising water as Bird Creek continues to rise there. The wet weather is also causing some problems for the state's wheat harvest. A number of fields along Bird Creek have been ruined by the flooding. The state agriculture expert calls that condition of the wheat crop a disaster. And in international news, the son of Joseph Mengele issued a statement today confirming that the remains dug up from a Brazilian grave are those of his father. In explaining why the family kept quiet over the death of Mengele, the son said that they wanted to keep quiet out of consideration for those who came in contact with a Nazi war criminal. Well, now that state legislative leaders and Governor George Nye have agreed on a new tax plan, the House and the Senate appear set to approve it this week. That plan is the final step in a series of compromises that began last.
Charges should be filed in Osage, not Tulsa. The state said there's evidence to indicate the murder could have taken place in either county. And this morning, Judge Jay Dalton, though he hasn't issued his formal statement, apparently agreed with the state. He said that the trial could go ahead and start this Monday, Bob.
Randy, you mentioned, though, the chance of further delays. What else could delay this case?
Well, you know, we've reported on the argument that the defense has that accusing the district attorney's office of allowing a witness to lie on the stand during a preliminary hearing in order to keep the case in Tulsa. There's going to be a hearing on that later this week before Judge Dalton. And then there's also a possible appeal from Judge...
The sale of obscene materials to minors. The proposed ordinance would also ban such displays in stores. City lawyers say the law would not conflict with state law.
I would go along with that, yeah. Coming up next in the Eyewitness News Healthcast, that is, the government orders a new study into cyclamates, which is, of course, an artificial sweetener.
Nita Parvin also has a report on the booming business of home health kits.
Anyone that more Americans are jogging and walking and bicycling than ever before, and all of this, of course, has brought on a new health consciousness across the nation. Anita Parvin's here with Healthcast tonight, and kind of an explanation of what's the latest in this.
New attitude, new consciousness, right. Bob. In general, people are taking more responsibility for their own health. They're not willing to leave everything to the doctor anymore. Those new attitudes are creating a boom for the companies which manufacture a variety of kits, which you can use to monitor your own health at home.
The hour, and here once again is Jim with a look at our weather.
Tell you, we have a lovely evening going for us out there and some Jim Dandy weather over the next several days. Let's take a look at our record book. 80 degrees, our high today, and that was about the midday period, by the way. We've been cooling off since then. 66, our morning low. 87, 30-year average high this date. 100 degrees, our record way back in 1924. Precipitation up through our late Friday and into Saturday, but basically just lovely weather for the next few days. And I think we certainly deserve it. Gives us a chance to dry out a bit.
That does. Thank you very much, Mr. G. Robert?
The Cuban national soccer team is coming to Tulsa next month to play the Tulsa Roughnecks. And up next, Bill Teagans will have a preview at all the Tuesday sports after this.
National team opens its four-city American tour in Tulsa July the 1st. A rare chance for anyone to see the Cuban Nationals.
East versus West, and
having some back problems. He had to withdraw last week, so he'll have to miss this tournament. The College World Series title game rained out last night in Omaha. They'll try it again tonight. Miami and Texas meet about 7 o'clock for the championship. And Jim Schoenfeld, one of the all-time great defenders with the Buffalo Sabres, is going to be the new coach of the team. He replaces Scotty Bowman. Scotty says he's had enough coaching, just going to stay as general manager.
Back up to the GM spot.
Yeah, he's kind of jumped back and forth about 4 or 5 times in his career.
All right. Thank you, Bill. Clay?
Still to come, we have letters on celebrities and their money and Lake Eufaula homeowners and their problems.
Clothing for Eyewitness News provided by Harold's.
Time now for some of the viewer mail. The first from Max Gates of Tulsa. Dear Clayton, when I see or hear about the starvation and misery in Ethiopia, it makes me miserable. Also, when I see Paul McCartney singing Ebony and Ivory, I think about the $500 million he has. Why doesn't he give his wealth to the poor to stop their misery? All of these other rich people who claim to be so concerned, if all of the rich celebrities gave most of their fortunes to helping these people, there would be no problem in Ethiopia. And there is this from Joe L. Long of Eufaula. Dear Mr. Vaughn, the Corps of Engineers never says one word to people who ride three-wheelers and cut up the Lake Eufaula shoreline and tear up Corps property by making roads through the woods and running over your yard and tearing up your garden. Why aren't these vehicles required to have state tags on them? You might ask, why not call the local law enforcement officers? Well, the answer to that is, I'm sorry, we are just spread so thin, unless it's murder, we just can't help you. Then you drive by the local coffee shop and there are 2 or 3 highway patrol cars, the Corps of Engineers truck, the county sheriff, the lake ranger, and the city police. Can't get any of these people in here unless it's a clear day with no wind because they don't want to get their vehicles dirty or their boats dusty. However, if you protect what belongs to you, the law will be on you like ugly on an ape. Good night.
In just 1/2 hour from now, here on Channel 6, Entertainment Tonight talks with award-winning actor John Voight. First, Dan Rather has the CBS Evening News. Next, here on 6.
This news. This is Morning Update.
Good morning. Clear skies in Tulsa, 59 degrees. Today's high about 79. We'll check the forecast in just a few moments. Your taxes are going up. The Oklahoma House and Senate yesterday and early this morning passed the largest tax increase in state history, $250 million in new taxes. Going up is the gasoline tax from 9 cents a gallon to 10 cents, and the state sales tax up to a permanent 3.25%. Some corporate income taxes will also increase, but personal income taxes have been left alone this year. The FBI caught up with fugitive financier Wes McKinney yesterday. He was arrested at a jewelry store where he had gone to sell a watch. McKinney is charged with 30 counts of bank fraud. Susan Watson has the background and more information on these latest developments.
He's filed for bankruptcy reorganization last September. Thousands of unsuspecting investors were left without their money when the doors closed. McKinney was indicted by a Tulsa federal grand jury in May.
Out of 75 escapes this year, only 11 have not been recaptured. Last year at this time, there were 127 escapes. The youngest American ever to receive a heart and lung transplant is an Oklahoma girl. 14-year-old Elizabeth Burns from Norman is in critical condition at a low record temperature for Tulsa today. We'll check that plus the weather forecast in just a few minutes. Earlier this morning, it was down to 52, which is a new record low for Tulsa. The previous record, 54 degrees, back in 1913. Here's the forecast for this afternoon. It'll be sunny and pleasantly mild. Light and variable winds. Today's high temperature, 79. For tonight, fair and warm with a low temperature of 60. Tomorrow, expect fair and warmer conditions. Tomorrow's high about 85 degrees. The outlook for Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, they've taken that rain out of the forecast. Saturday, warm and a high of 85. Sunday, warm and 86. And Monday, just about the same. Yesterday, Ben Pringle said there was a slight chance of rain on Saturday, but I see they've taken that away. Now, CBS Morning News continues.